Well, today we've got generators going in the background. Hopefully it's not too noisy for you, but I want to talk about what it's like to move from a house, known affectionately as sticks and bricks, into an RV. And one thing I haven't seen too much about on the internet is how it's completely different depending upon your age. Now, for young people, they do this sometimes between graduating college and starting their career. You know, they call it, what is it, a skip year or something like that. But if you're young, you really don't have that much of an accumulation of stuff. And also, there's verbiage around this that makes it sound pretty cool, like you're being a minimalist. You're sticking it to corporate America. You're going off the grid. You know, it's kind of trendy, and you know, you're still living in an apartment, so you're really not selling your house, and you've been moving around in apartments, so you don't have a lot of stuff. So it's not that difficult for a young person to start traveling and getting rid of their sticks and bricks because it was a rental. Now, if you're in your 60s or older, you probably own your home. And inside that home, there are 40 years, 50 years worth of memories. You've got furniture that was passed down from your grandparents. You've got a china cabinet full of all kinds of stuff. You've got boxes and boxes of memorabilia. You've got pictures. For you ladies, you probably have so many things in your kitchen. KitchenAid, you've got all this stuff that you've spent a lifetime getting and accumulating. And for you guys, you might have a workshop in your garage. If nothing else, you've got car tools. You've got all kinds of things that you've accumulated over 40 years. And this gets to be a whole lot tougher for you guys, for us, because number one, it's not going to fit. There's no way you're going to get all your automotive tools, your workshop into a little RV. Ladies, there's not going to be any way you're going to get that KitchenAid, you're going to get all this other stuff put into an RV, you know, your finest china, it's just not going to fit. So what do you do with all this stuff? That's the big question. So you got to sort it into 4 piles. Gotta haves, wanna haves, wanna keep, and don't wants. And this could take months to sort things into that kind of category. Now, one of the things that I went through, and anybody else who's probably gone from an RV, from a home into an RV, went through is, you know, this stuff meant a lot to you. The furniture, the cabinets, the pictures, the china, the turkey pan for you ladies. You know, you can't have I can't have a Thanksgiving without a turkey pan to cook that bird in. And the problem is, when you ask your children, do you want this stuff? You might get a no, we're good. And, you know, it's like, how can you live without a turkey pan? Well, we don't cook turkeys over Thanksgiving at our place, what your kids might say. What about all this automotive stuff? Well, I don't fix my own car. I take it to the shop. What about this furniture? Well, we have, you know, our rentals are furnished. We don't need all this stuff. So you're going to be amazed at what your children might not want, and don't be offended by it, because they just live a different kind of life. They're kind of mobile, and you know, they haven't had an opportunity to spend a lifetime collecting things, and they want to collect their own things, not your stuff. So, so what do you do when your kids don't want the stuff? So what do you do with all this stuff? I had the yard sale to beat all yard sales. The goal was to make sure that the furniture, the china, all that stuff went to a good home. Not to make money, but to make sure that this stuff went to somebody who knew how to use it and would appreciate having it. So everybody that got the furniture, the Cuisinart, all that stuff, they were like, these are fantastic deals. And it made me happy that number one, that they were happy and they were going to use it. And number two, that everything was going to a nice place. So if you can't have it in a yard sale, you know, there's some charities that'll take this stuff, Goodwill, all of that. So, you know, there are churches, there are places that will take this stuff. Now, the other thing that you're going to have, paper. We older people are from a paper generation, not digital. So we'll have boxes and boxes of paper. Some of it's memorabilia, you know, like the kids' grade cards, the kids' art projects. There's tax information. There's all kinds of stuff. If you can, scan it. If you can't, shred it, get rid of it. So figure out, you know, what is important, get it scanned, what's not important, get it shredded, and get it, you know, to the dump. Now, the other thing that we are not from the digital age. We've got boxes and boxes and boxes of pictures. Sort out the ones you absolutely have to have. Sounds weird, but you can take pictures of the pictures or get them scanned so that you have digital copies. And then sometimes the kids might be interested in some of those, you know, like the trip to Disneyland or something like that. So, you know, ask them about the pictures. Get rid of all your china, all that stuff. Get it to people that want it. And as far as the furniture, once again, I sold the stuff, my stuff, but I also, and you know, to keep memories, I took pictures of all of that. I took pictures of the bassinet that our kids, you know, slept in when they were infants. I took pictures of the cabinets and things that came from grandma and grandpa and things like that. So you can do that. And then finally, don't turn your kids' place into a storage unit. You know, it's okay to say, hey, can you keep an eye on this for a little while, but also pay them a little rent for it. And that keeps you honest because, you know, after you go 3-6 months and you've never once touched any of that stuff, maybe you don't need it. The one thing I've seen people do, it's a real mistake, is they can't part with this stuff and they buy a big storage unit and they take a house worth of stuff and put it in a storage unit and they're paying $100 plus every month for stuff that they'll never ever go back to getting. So don't do that. You know, you got to learn to let go of the past and grab onto the future is what I call it. You'll realize after 3 months or so that a lot of that stuff that you thought you could never live without, you're living without very well. And, you know, it might be a little lonely without it, but after a while, you know, you start looking at your new adventures and places you're going to, and it looks great. So hopefully this helped a little bit. It's going to be a hard shock for those of you moving from a sticks and bricks into an RV, especially if you've lived someplace 30-40 years and have accumulated, you know, 30-40 years of what you call memories. And you know, you can still have the memories. You can take pictures of everything, take videos of everything. Take a video, walk through your house with a video, and don't burden your children with turning them into storage units, all right? And make other people happy. And it's time to move on. And I hope this gives you a different slant on what it's like to move into a RV after you've lived in your own home for 30, 40 years. And it's a different perspective. It's not easy, but you'll get it done, and you'll love the life, the RV life, because once you've downsized, there's only so many places you can leave your glasses or your cell phone, and in an RV that gets cut down by maybe, 80%. So it's a lot easier to find stuff. So I'll keep posting. You keep watching, and I hope this video helped us just a little bit. If it did, please comment below some of the things you've learned about moving into an RV that you want to share with the rest of us, and I'd appreciate that very much. So I'll keep posting if you keep watching. Thank you very much. Bye.